Hello, everybody. It's Lenny Murphy here with another in our CEO series of interviews. And today, I am talking to my good friend, Matt Warta, CEO of Gutcheck. So, full disclosure, I've known Matt for, Matt, what is it?
It's been
years?
about a decade, Lenny.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. I remember we first connected at ARF in New York, and you had a stand for a photo booth. And there is still a picture of me on the fridge holding a rubber chicken. That is courtesy of Gutcheck.
I love it. That brings back some wonderful memories, and I'm very grateful we've been able to know each other that long. It's been a great relationship.
It has been. It has been. So, and it's great to catch up. So, one of the really interesting things is that you were, at least to me, and hopefully our audience thinks this as well, you were one of the first to recognize the opportunity around automation and kind of the agile approach to research before anybody else. I mean, you kind of broke down that door. And particularly, I always thought about Gutcheck in the early days as trying to apply the kind of the DIY model towards qualitative research. So the survey monkey of qual, if you will, for lack of a better term. And it's not a good
Sure.
thing, but
I think we threw that around back in the day.
yeah. Now, a decade on, right, things have changed. And I actually use you as an example quite often talking to other entrepreneurs about the journey of, from technology to the incorporation of service and evolution of business. So why don't you kind of talk about that, right? Where the genesis of Gutcheck came from, and over the years, how you've adapted the business to meet the peculiarities of the research space.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that's pretty fun for me to reflect upon for a number of reasons. Just one, I think, to see kind of how we've matured as a company, but then reflect upon a lot of the great partners we've had along the way that have gotten us here. And so how this all started is, and I think you obviously know this, Lenny, but I was an investor before I got into marketing research, and primarily was focused on investing in startup companies in business to business. And so had seen a lot of companies where automation and technology had been applied to create value for the customer at the end of the day, and really focusing on the timeless currencies of time and money, right? And so that was my career. And I had a fateful breakfast with Carl Rosso, who I'm sure a lot of your audience knows. He started a number of companies in marketing research, Benenson Strategy Group, I Moderate, and a couple of others. And we actually talked about it in the way that you just mentioned, that, hey, why isn't there a survey monkey for qualitative research? And we broke it down into a really kind of simple problem statement at the time. And it was largely around that you needed to have a synchronous interaction to create qualitative, we thought at least. And the barrier to that was recruiting in real time. And we're like, well, hey, how would that happen? And so we came up with some ideas, and fortunately found some like-minded entrepreneurs in the market with Matt Dusig and Greg Lavin, who had they were, I think, called USAMP at the time. Actually, I'm quite sure they're USAMP at the time now. Obviously, Innovate MR, but just really great guys that shared kind of a similar vision in terms of where this industry would go. And that's how we got into the business of trying to automate marketing research. And I think the interesting thing that I've always held to as an entrepreneur and as a venture capitalist, that very rarely is it the first idea that makes a company. There are certainly, I suspect, those things that happen. But even if you hear about the unicorn companies that everybody thinks was an overnight success, they stumbled upon what that key insight was. So I think one thing that we've tried to do a good job of over the years is just be really kind of open to feedback from customers and understand what they need from us. And what they needed from us evolved over time. I think they saw that automation happening in qualitative, and they asked us to do it in quantitative. And then they another thing that they said is, hey, could you provide some expertise on top of this? Actually, I have a kind of a fun story from back in the day in terms of how we evolved into offering services on top of our automated platform. And I was working with a woman at General Mills, and we had done some work with her. She was using our platform to do some work, and I wanted to get some feedback from her in terms of how the experience went. So I sent her a note. I tried to call her, and she sent me a note back and said, "Hey, Matt, I'm sorry. I was in a meeting at the time, and now I'm in my post-meeting meeting." I was like, there is no way in hell these people are ever going to be able to really leverage DIY in the way that I would like them to. But there's an insight there that, hey, maybe I can provide that extra value for them, be an extension of their team, and help them solve that problem. And so that's how we've evolved the company over time, just being really, hopefully, very attentive to our customers' needs and what they're looking for, and trying to drive value in that way. And so, fast forward a number of years, and we brought, I think, a lot of agility to a number of customers, especially around building new products, building new ideas, building great campaigns, building great creative. But we have also seen a very big shift in the market over the years, especially the last 3 or 4 years, over into this notion of doing more exploration and building more foundational insights on audiences. And we think there's a lot of opportunity for agility to be brought there. And I think that's going to make this initial iteration of Agile look small in comparison.
So, yeah, I'm listening to all that, and obviously, since you and I were friends, we've somewhat been along for the ride to an extent. And
Absolutely.
The what's interesting about Gutcheck is that not only your evolution, but increasingly, I've seen you move away from the market research space. That you don't use those terms. You don't engage as often in the events. But I've seen you be kind of totally awesome in developing a very sophisticated content strategy on, really kind of pioneering this idea around, agility and the incorporation of service with technology, and driving that value for clients, and almost carving out your own niche, your own identity as, yes, we're connected to this broader insights and analytics world, but there's this very specific area that we think we're kind of the star of, and rightfully so. And is the focus of that? Well, one, is that a fair assessment? And then two, is the focus of that kind of redefinition for Gutcheck around that audience component?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's it might be a little fair. I'd say we're still very involved in the industry, and if you look at our customer base, it is still a lot of insights and marketing research clientele that we have. I think one thing to know about our business is we do serve diverse industries here, and certainly CPG, food and bev, still work a lot with consumer insights and marketing research folks. One of our biggest vertical right now is technology, and we work with some different folks over in that vertical. So that may be why I think there's the perception out there that we're not as involved as we used to be. But if you peel back the onion here, you'll see us working with a lot of consumer insights folks still. And we're at CRC this week. We'll be at TMRE next week, and we'll be at IEX I think a week or so after that. So still very, very involved, and of course, wouldn't miss one of your events. But no, we're still very much involved and still very much focused on making heroes out of those customers in that industry. I think, one of the shifts you've probably seen with us, and we've got listen, the Agile that has been implemented in this industry has been phenomenal. If we did a survey recently and asked people how much Agile that they're doing these days. And in the survey, 70% of those that responded that they're using Agile today. And I think that's great. And I think there's some that are using it very programmatically, and there's some that are just getting their feet wet, but it's being leveraged. And I think it's being leveraged because the promise is being fulfilled there in that kind of area of building new products, building out communications, et cetera. Where we think the opportunity is going is really kind of connecting the value chain for our customers around developing great products and developing great brands, with the idea that we need to get to proprietary audiences in order to do that, right? We're in an era now where personalization at scale is what the marketer is looking for. And a lot of the techniques that we use in those development chains today are not developed around proprietary audiences, right? If you think about where testing concepts is, you think about testing creative is, it's at the category level or gem pop level. That is not an actionable strategy these days, right? And so what we're really about is bringing a lot of that agility to the upfront part of the development process, where we can help identify and profile proprietary audiences for our customers that they can go either retain or acquire, and then line up the other pieces of the value chain behind that. So identify that audience upfront, give them a lot of information that they can make really kind of actionable decisions on, right? Well, given that it's this kind of audience with this kind of personality, we should develop this kind of creative for them, and then we can test that for them to make sure it's resonant with that audience. And then the other thing that we're doing that we think is very important and customers are coming on to is being able to tie those proprietary insights about customers up front all the way through activation of media. So, right, how do I go find that actual audience when I am doing a media buy? And we think that is the holy grail, is really putting that value chain together around an audience that is proprietary to our clientele, and do that in a really agile way.
Okay. So that makes an awful lot of sense, and that's exciting stuff. I want to circle back around to kind of this journey idea, and particularly with your background as a venture capitalist. What has been the most surprising learning for you as an entrepreneur going down this path, and also what's been the most frustrating thing for you going down this path?
I am not the kind of person that gets, we certainly have a vision here at Gutcheck, but we know that the journey to get there is going to go along kind of a wandering path, right? And I think if you have that kind of mindset and are open to it, it can be a very fun journey. And the things that are frustrating to some might look like an opportunity to us. And so I think wherever kind of frustration exists, you really problem solve around it, and you get through it. And some of those challenges have come externally, and some of those challenges have come internally. And so I think as long as we show up every day, live by the values of our company, and meet those challenges head on, things aren't too frustrating.
That's it. You're always an eternal optimist, Matt. It's one of the things I love about you.
Thank you. I think you've got to be. The one thing that I think I will point out that has been interesting, and you probably see it better than I, is that from a supplier standpoint, this notion of Agile has really caught on, and everybody's Agile these days. And I think that's
automation, AI. I mean, right? Everybody is some combination of those buzzwords. So
All
yeah,
of it, all of it. And I think so to kind of bring it back to, as an investor, kind of at least that in my background, how I think about all of this. I think what's important for people to understand is that there are a lot of people playing in Agile today, no doubt about it, and some are, some aren't, but there's a lot of people playing there. What tends to happen in any industry is that two or three people rise to the top and consolidate everything. That's just kind of how economics work, I think. And what I think what I would focus on as an end client today, who is either wanting to ramp up Agile or dip their toe in the water, is find the folks out there that have scaled Agile, right? Who are people that have scaled Agile in an organization, that have gone in and scaled agility, integrated into the workflow of the client organization, and really scaled it up to millions of dollars, right? Because I think that will quickly help people figure out what is maybe a risky proposition versus one that's a much safer bet.
so who, as much as you can say, so if you're going to invite a client partner to share their journey that way, to be that example, um, who would that be, if you can say? Is there somebody who stands out in your mind of like, yeah, these guys get it, and they've blown this, not just our business, but this entire model up because they get it so well?
Well, I need to be a little careful with this, Lenny. Obviously, we take agreements with our clients very seriously. But for those that are interested, you can quickly take a peek at our website and figure out who some of these clients are, because we have permission to use those logos up there. But you can get a sense of it. But I think we're in a place right now where I'd say our top clients, some of our top clients are probably, there's more revenue there than some of these other companies have altogether. And so that when I say, hey, look for a partner that has scaled up Agile, as a client, those are kind of the questions I would ask, because we have taken, and others too, have taken a lot of risk out of the proposition of using Agile. And if you're new to it, if you haven't leveraged it before, it's good to have somebody that has 10 years of experience doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to be cautious of time. What's next for Gutcheck? Look 5 years out. What does that path look like? So, and knowing that the previous 5 years probably were not what you expected either. Right?
Yeah,
but,
yeah. That's fair. What we're really focused on here is executing against our vision and strategy every day. And one of the really great parts of being an entrepreneur in this market in particular is the great people that are in this market. I mean, we really truly have great customers. We have great partners that are just a lot of fun to be around and are good people to hang out with. And so we really focus on making heroes out of our customers every day. That's the first and foremost thing we think about in the morning. And then the other part is just executing against that strategy that I talked about. And I'd say it's having wonderful effect for the clients that we're working with in the way that I just mentioned. But we're very early innings. And I do think in the next 5 years, you will see much more integration of our value chain around audiences. It is where all the media dollars are going. There's hundreds of billions of dollars going that way. And for those that think that the value chain leading up from that isn't going to line around it, read some more articles and, and talk to more clients, because it is happening. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about clients being able to get to these proprietary audiences, it not taking 6 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but doing it in a more agile way, bringing those insights into building great products that are resonant for clients, building creative campaigns that are personalized but at scale. And then when they do, they're targeting it from a media perspective, it's a layup because it all lines up. That's that's kind of the nirvana state that I'm looking for right now and that I'm really excited about.
Okay. So in now short term, is there something cool coming from Gutcheck that you're really excited about? And again, you may not be able to disclose all the details, but is there what's the next great product enhancement or feature that's going to be rolling out on your end?
Yeah, I think, I think it goes back to maybe something else that you asked a question about is how do you evolve as a company, right? And evolving as a company isn't all about what is the next new thing that you're doing, but it's once you have something that's disruptive and has product market fit, trying to figure out how to blow that sucker out. That is the key thing to scaling a company, and I think we're onto that. And so the next new thing that we're really excited about is what we have today, and it is going out, talking to customers, getting their VOC in terms of what's working and what's not, iterating on it hard so that it meets the needs that these clients have, which is largely around insights that they can actually action on, right? That they can go build a campaign on, that they can go build a product around, and doing that with a lot of speed and a lot of affordability.
Cool. All right, so I want to wrap things up. It's Halloween, so happy Halloween. Although we were talking beforehand that since you're in Denver, that it's more like kind of a scary Arctic experience there right now, right?
Well, the secret is out about Denver, right? We've had a foot and a half of snow in the last day, and people see that on the news. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's the North Pole over there." But we have that, and then today it's going to be 45. The sun is glaring off my rather big forehead here, and the snow will take all the snow off the streets in a heartbeat, but leave a lot of it up in the mountains for us to go skiing this weekend. So that's another thing to be excited and grateful for.
All right, Matt, I appreciate it. It had been too long. Hopefully, it won't be that long before we connect again. But thank you very much. Congrats on all the success, and can't wait to hear about the next level of it in the future.
Thank you, Lane. Thanks for all you do, and it's always a blast to talk to you. So looking forward to doing this again soon.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate you're too kind. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.